The position of your wrist when you are starting your swing is crucial to ensuring that you're using the proper technique. In this video, I'm going to use the example of the flat or the topspin forehand. And what you want to make sure of is that before you start your forward swing on the flat or the topspin forehand is that you have this strong wrist position. So if I have my paddle facing off to the side, I do not have a strong wrist position. And often what times happens is that a player will use their wrist on the swing. So I want to make sure I have this nice strong wrist position, and that allows me to make this move as I'm swinging. So notice that my paddle is pretty parallel to the net right now, and it's pretty parallel to the net on my finish as well. So if I don't start with that strong wrist position, let's say I just end up right here, I feel like I have to flick my wrist to get enough power on the ball. But if I can get into that good wrist position and I'm just throwing my arm forward, then this naturally starts to happen. So imagine that you were just gonna throw your paddle over the fence or over the net with a sidearm motion. And if I grip that with 2 fingers, I get into that strong wrist position, and then I throw the paddle, or at least act like I'm throwing it, because I don't want to throw it and damage it right here. I might be able to do that on the grass or something like that. Act like I'm throwing the paddle. This naturally happens where the top edge of the paddle becomes the bottom edge of the paddle. And so again, because I'm loose and I'm accelerating, I'm naturally making this move happen. Now, if I do a loop on my swing to get extra acceleration, again, the paddle is gonna end up in that strong wrist position before I start my swing. So I'm looping, it drops, it ends up in that good wrist position, and then it swings. Now, if I decide that I wanna do a loop on my swing to get extra acceleration, I'm still gonna end up before I start my forward swing in a position where my wrist is strong. So paddle's going back, it's dropping, it's flipping, I end up in that strong wrist position. Now, if I decide to do a loop, on my swing to get that extra acceleration, I still need to end up with that strong wrist position before I start my forward motion. So I'm looping, and then eventually that paddle's gonna flip around so that I have this nice relationship with my wrist position. So from the back view, if my paddle's like this, I don't have a strong wrist position. If my paddle's angled back, now I'm creating this angle between my arm and my paddle head. Now I have a really strong wrist position that's gonna allow me to pronate properly on my swing. So the easiest way to practice this is to just toss balls to yourself. So I'm already starting with my paddle in that good wrist position, and then I'm just letting my paddle come forward as if I'm throwing it. So very relaxed in the hand, good wrist position, throwing my arm forward. So not only is this going to help you be more consistent on your swings, but it's also healthier than if you are actually using the wrist on your swing.